So what I was saying is that the fundamental question that distorts our ability to discern our own soul's truth, our own preference, which now affects, if you bring it into our day-to-day lives, it affects our ability to make choices, make decisions, even our personal and spiritual development quests and our expansion. What I was saying is that if we have that question threaded in our consciousness and it's active, the question, what's wrong with me, there's no good answer to that question. It's like chasing your tail. It's an infinite, never-ending, because you always get an answer to that question that's fundamentally not true and not in sync with the truth of who you are, which is love. And so the overwhelmingness of that actually gets reduced down to a simplicity anytime we dissolve, anytime we're outside of that question, what's wrong with me, because there is nothing wrong with us. And any pursuit of anything that has potential in it, any book, teacher, coach, piece of information, religion, philosophy, all of it only inherently has potential in it. Potential to bear fruit, or potential to expand, potential to enhance our life experience. And if we utilize that potential, but we have that question, what's wrong with me, driving it, governing it, then we can't actually receive the fruit in it, even if it's 100% accurate and beneficial. I don't care if God itself, Jesus, any of the avatars, anybody that we may imagine has some real, sincere, true wisdom on a soul level, came and spoke something to us and said something to us about us. If we filtered that through in our attempts to improve ourselves from the fundamental off perception that we can improve ourselves, that we're broke, that something's wrong, then no matter what Jesus or anybody says to us, even if we did it, if we took heed to it, if we put it into action, if we meditated on it, if we aced it, if we aced the exam, we still would fail. We still would fail. And that's why people like Jesus, other masters of our time, are saying, you're just like me.
So no matter what excuse I come up with about what's wrong with me,
there's no
there's
good answer
nothing.
To that question. Try to think of, when I say good, I mean useful, I mean expansive, I mean enhancing, I mean there's no good answer. It does not lead to more fulfillment. It can't lead to more fulfillment, because more fulfillment means more depth, more full feeling, more intimacy, more
so a lot of
satisfaction,
people
more benefit.
are going through living their lives answering the question of what's wrong with me. No matter what kind of beneficial act or whatever they're doing, when it's coming from that space of proving that nothing is wrong with me now that I'm doing this, it's not.
There's going to be a void, there's going to be an emptiness, there's going to be a discord, there's going to be a discontent, no matter how many times you pursue anything that has that question inherent in it. And ultimately, it keeps us from fully awakening to the truth of who we are, which is love. And not love in a positive, negative sense, but in an undistorted, pure, unconditional sense. You know?
Mm-hmm.
So
nothing's wrong with me?
No, nothing's wrong with you. And anytime we're in judgment, this is what I said earlier, if you're in confusion, confusion's an illusion. If we're in the illusion of confusion, we're actually in some form of judgment. We're actually not being true to ourselves, which means, whether we're thinking about it or not, if we're in judgment, we're actually saying, what's wrong with me? At a core level. Otherwise, we're just expression, emotion, isness. We just are. Now, this doesn't negate any fundamental benefit in society and in community, in our families, and our desire for harmony with another person. It doesn't negate any codes of conduct, any things that we establish as agreements to be more responsible and to be, functional and to be able to create harmony. That in and of itself is pure, it's expansive, it's life-giving. But even if you try to do any of those things and you're coming from judgment, you can't create harmony from disharmony. It's impossible. You can create the appearance of harmony. That's about it. You can't create a win-win when you have that question. It's impossible.
So, do you have one little key or tool that someone can use as they're going through their days if they're notice themselves doing anything from that question? Or is just having the awareness?
I mean, having the awareness could be great. If you want like a tool or something, find, and when I say find, you'll know whether or not it works for you. Find an eject question. Ask what's right with me. Ask, if you're still separate from yourself and you want to utilize some other seeming influence like God or your higher self or your spirit or, somebody that you respect, then ask, what would Jesus do? How would my spirit be viewing this exact same scenario and situation that I'm in right now in this moment? The feeling I'm having, the perceptions I'm having, how would my spirit be viewing that? Even if you don't even need to know the answer, but if you just ask a question like that, if you're in the question, what's wrong with me, and you don't fight it, you don't even have to try to, if you just sit, then you're already going to start allowing what's true. It's like a cork that's you're holding it underwater. If you just let it go, it floats back to the surface. If you just ask a question like that, you can eject. It's an eject question. You're ejecting yourself out of an infinite loop, a never-ending rabbit hole, like the rabbit hole of what's wrong with me. That's never-ending. And ask just what's true, and then listen, not with your head, with your heart, and be still. That's how you bypass that infinite loop question is being generated by the judgment, which is being generated by the mind. Ask a new question. Find your eject button.
Beautiful. Thank you.